MZTV.
I think I'm going to call this show The Immediacy of Faith. Yeah, The Immediacy of Faith. That's kind of vague. You don't like that? All right, let's see. Okay, I got a better name. Let's get on with it, people. Let's get on with it, people. That's what I'm going to call this show. This is Martin Zender from the edge of the bottom of the Florida Peninsula, making sense for a living. And I'm back in Romans because Romans is an exciting book. I mean, here's a guy, our apostle, writing to people in Rome. He's under the inspiration of Holy Spirit. That is the Spirit that makes everything go, makes everything operate, the Spirit of God. And it's recorded to us and saved, and this is our Magna Carta. This explains our entire faith, and we have it. It's like this treasure. It's like God wrote to us. I mean, I was listening to an Aerosmith song before this show. Yeah, it's 6 a.m. So rock and roll really helps me get going. Yeah, it's rock and roll and the book of Romans. They just go hand in hand so perfectly. So I'm listening to Walk This Way, by Aerosmith, and I'm a classic rock guy. And I'm listening to Joe Perry's guitar solo, and I'm thinking, man, I just smile. That is so great. Then I come to Romans, and I'm smiling again because this is so great that we have this, and this almost sounds like a Christian saying. The saying came into my mind, rock and roll for the soul, but I hate it. Scratch it. Edit that. Will you edit that? Nobody's going to hear that? All right. If it's still on the show, I'm not going to be happy. All right. I left off. Remember, I was going to do Romans 9, 10, and 11. Paul's talking about Israel. But just because he's talking about Israel doesn't mean he doesn't say some great stuff to us, which he does. There's a passage I left off in chapter 10. Remember, speaking of the Jews, they have a zeal of God, but not in accord with recognition, for they, being ignorant of the righteousness of God, seeking to establish their own righteousness. You remember I told you that meant that they're not yet saved. They don't yet have aeonian life because they're ignorant of the righteousness of God, and they're all obsessed with their own righteousness. They're looking for some kind of fine print in the contract where they can get their own righteousness, get their own control, get their own way. There's some fine print in here where I can do my own thing. Isn't there some fine print where I can boast about something? No, So then there's a passage. This next passage always befuddled me. It bamboozled me once in a while too, but ordinarily it befuddled me. And I wrote a series on the book of Romans. I spent 4 years doing it. Yeah, it was easy. Actually, it wasn't easy, especially this passage. Listen to this. It sounds strange at first. Starting with verse 5. But the explanation of this verse, like what Paul is saying, is so great. It harkens back to the book of Deuteronomy, which sounds really boring. It sounds like, do you know the way to San Jose versus Walk This Way, right? Kind of comparing a song from the 50s or early 60s to late 70s rock and roll here. But Deuteronomy is awesome what Moses is saying, and Paul's borrowing it. Let's go. Verse 5, for Moses is writing of the righteousness which is of law, that a man who does the same shall be living in it. Yet the righteousness of faith is saying thus. And when I read this saying, I said, what the hell is Paul trying to say? You may not be saying in your heart, who will be ascending into heaven, that is, to be leading Christ down, or who will be descending into the submerged chaos, that is, to be leading Christ up from among the dead. But what is it saying? Near you is the declaration, in your mouth, in your heart, that is, the declaration of faith which we are heralding. The key phrase here, it is near you, in your mouth, in your heart. This thing that we're proclaiming, that I'm proclaiming today, that Paul began proclaiming 2,000 years ago, this thing is near. This thing is immediate. What did I say this show was? Get on with it. This thing is right there. There's no excuse to fly around it, to think about doing it. It's too hard, it's way up there, Martin, it's too high, or it's way too deep, it's way too low, we can't pull it up. No, it's here, it's now. There's no excuse to put it off. And for that, I'm going to go to excellent newsletter here by a guy. Oh, this is my newsletter. Okay, this is Romans part 91. When did I write this? June of 2016, June 19th, 2016. So I start it this way. I'm going to paraphrase myself here. Paul has brought Christ near to all of us. That's what he's saying in this passage. Paul had an in-your-face testimony, and because of Paul's in-your-face testimony, we now see Jesus Christ more truly than anyone ever has, even when he was walking on the earth. There's no prophet of God from the Old Testament days that has apprehended more clearly the plans and purposes of God than us. And all these prophets who got like direct revelations from God, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Daniel, these great prophets, they have no greater revelation than we have now. And it's in our faces. That's what Paul's saying. It doesn't make us better than them. Well, no, it doesn't make us better than them, but we are certainly more ideally placed on the Aeonian calendar. All right, so what I just read you, Paul's borrowing from Moses, okay? He's reading, no, he's not reading, but he's got Moses in mind as he's paraphrasing Moses. So if we go back and see what Moses wrote, it'll help us understand what Paul said. As I said, I struggled with these verses for years. I just didn't feel like looking into them. When I was finally writing the series on Romans, I said, okay, I finally got to confront this. When people ask me about this, I kind of go, I don't really know what it means. I said, I'm the world's most outspoken Bible scholar. What do you mean I don't know what it means? I have to know what this means. So I'm now going to read to you from Deuteronomy 30, 11 through 14, where Moses speaks to the Israelites concerning the ways of law. Now, this is law, mind you, and this is in the days when the Israelites didn't know that law came for the transgressions to increase. They didn't realize that no flesh at all shall be boasting in God's sight. So they're chugging, really wanting to do law here. So you have to remember, it's a bygone era, but you have to put yourself in their place like this is the latest, greatest revelation, and we better do it. But listen to this. This is Moses. For this instruction, we should maybe talk like Moses. I think he had an English accent. For this instruction, which I am enjoining on you today, it is neither too difficult for you, nor is it too far off. It is neither in the heavens for you to say, who shall ascend to the heaven for us, and take it for us, and announce it to us that we may do it. Nor is it across the sea for you to say, who shall cross the sea for us, and take it for us, and announce it to us that we may do it. For the word is exceedingly near you, in your mouth, in your heart, to do it. There it is. Did you get all that? Yeah. Okay, so this is my paraphrase. In the newsletter, this is my paraphrase of what Moses is saying. And I love this because I see people doing this today. They put it off. They don't think Paul's gospel is in your face. They think it's too abstract. Or the Bible itself is too abstract. It's too hard. We either have to ascend to Christ, like to bring him down to us, and who can get into heaven, or we have to pull Christ up as if he's still in the tomb or whatever. Here's the exhortation. This is the idea of it. I love this. Listen to this. Yeah, well, just because I wrote it doesn't mean I can't love it. I mean, it's the best reason for me to love it. Quit trying to make this hard, Israel. You don't have to chase this thing either up, down, or sideways, although I know you want to. I know you would rather chase it than attain it. Oh yeah, it's the high adventure of pursuit for you, just as long as you never catch the thing. You know, it's kind of like the dog chasing the car, right? Dogs like to chase cars. Back when I was a kid, that's what they like to do. They like the pursuit, the adventure. It's like, hey, we're on a great journey. Ooh, isn't this fun? But the joke was, hey, what are you going to do when you catch it? What are you going to do when you catch it? It's like they don't really want to catch it because they wouldn't know what to do with it. Now I've caught a car. What do I do with it? So the idea, I'm going to continue here, but the idea is like you're on this grand pursuit. And some people, they just like to they like to be seen as those who are always looking into things, right? They're always investigating things, but they never land on anything because that would mean that they would have to land on something. That would mean that they would have to be founded and grounded on something. Then in their minds, they would have to be maybe accountable for something, or that they would be seen as having planted a flag somewhere, and now this is where they are, and now they can be pegged down to it, and people might ask them questions. They might not be able to explain it or whatever. It's just safer for some people just to fly, pick this, pick that. In fact, that's what the Epicurean and the Stoic philosophers in Acts chapter 17 said of Paul. They said, what would this seed picker have to say? What would this seed picker, that's the word in the Greek. In other words, this guy, he doesn't know about anything. He doesn't know nothing. He just picks at things. He's seen as a great seeker. Oh, he's a great seeker. He's a spiritual man. He's picking what he wants and never deciding on anything. No, this was not Paul at all. Paul planted his flag on this evangel. It was given to him by Jesus Christ. So he said, this is it. This is me. I'm going to build my fort here. And now and I'm going to have an establishment. I'm going to have an established thing. And so I'm going to be known for this, and it's like I can't fly around anymore. Because again, the popular thing is just to fly around, not be accountable to anything, but be seen as a seeker. That's a spiritual person. Why is it a spiritual person? They don't believe anything. Yes, but they consider this, and they consider that, and they look at this, and they look at that. But they don't want to be seen as being adamant, as being firm, because to them, being adamant or firm is equivalent to being arrogant. Well, if I say that I know something, then I'm arrogant. Then the other people might feel bad that they don't know anything. And so it's this political correctness that we have today that would rather flit around, that would rather taste this, taste that, pick this, pick that, cherry pick, and not really become grounded, become rooted. Because then if you know that you know something, then other people might think you're arrogant. Other people might think you're tyrannical. That's this crazy idea. And Paul is saying, no, man, it's right here. It's right in front of your freaking face. And if you could stop flying around and trying to look spiritual for a second and land here, it's as near as your heart, it's as near as your mouth. And Moses was saying the same thing to Israel concerning law, which is quite shocking. I realize that. So Moses is saying, quit trying to make this hard, Israel. You don't have to chase this thing. I know you want to. You don't have to chase it up, sideways, down. I know you'd want to. You'd rather chase it than attain it. Yeah. It's the high adventure of pursuit. That's what you love. As long as you can dream about the law, talk about it, have conversations about it, mention it. Mention some key words. Tent of the testimony. Holy of holies. Sacred vessels. Yeah, let's talk about the law. Yes. Let's use catchphrases, shall we? The Exodus, Pharaoh, oh, the days. Yes, you want to talk about it, but you don't want to do it. I'm not saying we should do law. I'm comparing it now to Paul, but back to my paraphrase. As long as you can dream about law, talk about it, or hold somber meetings concerning it, then it can never hang you over its hook. You say that you want to obey God's dictates, you Moses people. This is Moses talking, but that's only because the dictates to you are still far off. See, the law to you is still this theoretical wonderland at the end of a noble quest, right? Moses again, my paraphrase, I know this must come as calamitous news to you, O Israelites, what I'm about to tell you. You would prefer, I realize, to call yet another strategy session, appoint a committee, send out a search party, order drinks, anything rather than to hear that the precepts are now in your midst. Because, my God, if the precepts are now in your midst, if they're right here, then you can't avoid it any longer. If they're deposited before you by a simple man such as myself, a smelly farmer dude who was, sent down a river in a basket, if it's being deposited to you by a simple man such as myself, then, it looks like you have to confront this thing. Stop looking at the sky then, Israel. Look at your dining room table instead. Yeah, get rid of the idol next to the napkin holder. See, just do that. Start there. Again, I'm not promoting law. This is Martin Zender speaking. I'm not promoting law. I'm giving the example of Moses, and then tomorrow I'm going to apply it to Paul. Stop pondering the possibility of a great nautical adventure in which you will seek the meaning of everything. Oh, isn't that a noble spiritual quest? I'm a spiritual person. I'm seeking the meaning. Why don't you frickin' grab the meaning? It's right in front of you. Stop seeking the meaning of things. I wonder what this means. I wonder what that means. Let's talk about this first. Let's talk about that first. No, the verse is right in front of you. Grab it. I'm into Paul now. I'm not done with this paraphrase, but I'm into Paul now. It's right here. I'm going to end with this because the video is going long. I'm going to continue with this excellent paraphrase. But stop talking about it. Stop thinking that it's still far off. Stop seeking. Everybody wants to be a seeker. I'm a seeker. I'm a seeker. It seems such a noble thing to be a seeker. But it's a diversionary tactic. It's a stall tactic. By constantly seeking, you never freaking find anything out. You never grab a verse. You never grab a saying of God that's right in front of you. Because if you do that, oh shit, now I'm established. Oh shit, now I've just put a stake down. Now somebody might ask me a question about it. Now somebody might hold me accountable to it. Shit, I think I'm going to just seek. I'm a seeker. What the hell? I'm a fucking finder. And I exhort you to be finders. Find it. It's not far from you. That's what Paul says here. It's near to your heart and it's near to your mouth is this declaration of faith. This declaration of faith, it's freaking low-hanging fruit at this point. You don't have to go into heaven and attain it. You don't have to bring Christ up from the submerged chaos as if he's still in the tomb. He's alive. He's here. It's sparkling. It's like diamonds hanging low on the branch. It's right there. Ooh, but no, you want to be a seeker. You want to just keep looking. I'm looking. How about landing